good morning, and welcome to our film talk about BERT'S dark book, BERT'S Katastrophen, one of the children's film running in the program of the 62nd Nordic Film Days Lübeck in this year. And I have the pleasure to introduce the director, Michael Lindgren, to you, and the scriptwriter, Tapio Leopold. Yeah,
hello.
Nice to
Thank you.
meet you both in
Nice
Zoom,
to meet you.
Yeah, I have to say, BERT'S dark book was one of the last films I saw for this year's selection, and I already had a program I liked very much. It was strong and colorful, but that was exactly what I was looking for to complete the program. Such a charming film, a film full of humor, entertaining, and I thought, yes, this is the perfect film to complete the selection for this year, to give really good cinema moments to the kids. And yeah, Michael, I know that you made a lot of theater productions and TV series, and this was your first feature-length film. Why did you choose a story from BERT as your first feature?
Well, I didn't actually choose the story from just the story chose me. Or Tapio was already writing the movie, and the production company turned to me to ask me to direct it and to develop it with them. So and then we started working together, of course, and worked on the script together, and tried to make it a, you know, as bring as much life to it as I could. Yeah.
Tapio, you wrote the script for the film, and the film is based on a book, or on several books, which were quite popular in Sweden and also in Germany. They were popular in the late 90s and early 2000 years. How close did you stay to the book, or is it just one book we are going to see on the big screen, or what is it?
It's actually, it's not based on any particular book. It's based on these characters in that world that have been in these books for, well, as you said, have been for I think 30 years now in Sweden. So the characters are the same and they're from that world, but it's not, the story is an original story. It's not. I mean, I read those books when I was younger, and then I read up on them now, and well, reread some and read some I haven't read before, and was inspired by the characters and the situations, but it's not based on any book. No, this is a completely new story in that world. Yeah.
Okay, interesting. Yeah, working with kids can be fun, but I guess it also can be very, very challenging. And how did you experience the work with so many kids? It's a big cast you have in the film.
Yeah, well, I was myself a child actor, and when I was around 10, I was in a big Swedish production that was very popular on TV. So I had experience of myself as a child, being getting direction, but actually in a quite brutal way, I would say. So I had some negative experiences with it, and I was very dedicated not to repeat that kind of direction of children, which is, you know, rough. Now, BERT'S dark book it's BERT'S Katastrophe is a very kind. It's a nice and story that doesn't demand it. We don't delve into the, you know, human darkness that much, so we didn't have to face those problems, but of course it's very challenging. You're working with amateurs. I see it as pretty much, it's similar to working with adult amateur actors, because you cast them on talent, of course, but most of them aren't trained and they don't have like the psychological techniques. So you have to pretty much train them while you're working, and inspire them. And every person is different. Every child is different. So you have to talk to every person in a different way and find their motivation, find what helps them and what doesn't work for them. and it's totally different. Some of them might need you to act ahead, as I say, like actually show them how to do it, which is a taboo for me as a director. When working with grown actors, you don't do that. That is that is like a total taboo. But with children, sometimes you have to do it, and to guide them, because they don't have those kinds of inner technologies ready for yet, but or methods. But and other people, you can work more like with an adult actor. You could try to talk about what emotion is guiding the character in this situation. Could you relate to something in your own life? Like, okay, bring that out. How would you talk? How would you do in this situation? So you have to, and I'm very happy with that work, because that was one of my main goals with the movie, was that I wanted to help the kids to create a consistent and well acted tone, which is difficult. It's difficult with kids, and I often react when I see children's movies that they haven't been guided in a way that brings consistency to the acting, because some of them, I mean, might be reading like over articulating lines. They've been studying, they've been learning it to like have been too studious, if you know what I mean. Like, so it's a little bit blocky and unnatural, and others have a freer flow, and you have to kind of try to harmonize that. Yeah.
And did it take a long time to find the actors, especially the two leading roles, so the kids playing Bert and Amira?
Yeah. Well, it took some time. I mean, we had help from or actually like a living legend in Sweden, who was a child casting professional, and we worked together for a few months, and we had open castings, and we're looking for. I didn't really know what I was looking for at first. I mean, we found a few candidates, and especially for Bert, because it's the ensemble. So we tried to match up a couple of different groups of friends, particularly, and we also faced a little difficulty, because we had the idea that Amira's family was originally from Iraq, which kind of narrowed down the talent pool, because you wanted to find someone with an authentic Arab look, who was also funny, playful, and talented, like a girl. So that was a little bit, that was a tricky one, and because, well, for obvious reasons, it's still an ethnically majority white country, but it was a trial and error process. With Bert he was actually not very good in his first tape. He had submitted in his school, like we did casting in his school, and he just like stand a few questions, but I saw something in him, this very self-confident, a little bit nerdy, a little bit special looking. So we tried him a few more times, and we also like try to style him, because he in real life he's way too cool for Bert. I mean, he's a little rock star. He's like a I don't know, he totally does his own thing. He has this kind of hippie Jefferson Airplane kind of look, long hair, and I don't know. I don't understand him. He's way too young. I've totally lost touch with youth culture, apparently. But no, he did a great job. Yeah.
Yes, he did, for sure. And you told us that the film is inspired by the books, but it's not based on books. Is it possible that there will be another Bert film in the cinemas? Tapio, do you already maybe have any plans?
Possibly. I'm not working on it now. But
You look like
I mean,
you're looking over your shoulder, like.
That was because my daughter was making some noises. We're all at home now, so yeah. I mean that sure is a possibility. Nothing decided. Nothing set in motion.
Thing is, probably. I mean, the cast was kind of almost too old. I mean, they're outgrowing. Maybe if. Then we have to continue and make them older in another.
That would be an idea, yeah. Otherwise, yeah, you'd have to change the casting.
It would be fun. Like
it's a difficult age, but you want them as.
I mean, the next back would be like a real teenage movie, like
Right. You could do like the Truffaut. You just follow him his whole life, and the last bat is, in his 70s. Of course, we'd be in our 90s, but that could work.
Oh, but I would like to see Bat grapple with like a real relationship when he's 17. Like that would be
right.
Interesting.
I talked with a lot of filmmakers in the last days who didn't have the chance to see their own film in cinemas yet, but you had a cinema release in summer in Sweden. Can you tell us a little bit about the audience reaction so far?
Well, we did have a cinema release, which we're very grateful, but the cinemas were extremely, first of all, people didn't even know that cinemas were open. And so, it had been a very slow summer for obvious reasons. And so the cinemas started to open up again, and a lot of people were still on vacation. It was summer, so and it was also coincided with a very warm period. So it's difficult to get people in the cinemas for that reason. But we also have the 50-person limitation, so the audiences were very small. It was 10, 20, 30 people maybe. Right. But it was positive. I mean, we had a great reception. It's just that it's difficult to gauge when you're in a room with just a few. I mean, I went to some screenings just to get a sense of how it felt, and it was it felt positive, and we got really positive feedback. And actually, it's been going very well since then, and more people have been. I mean, Tapio, you were at a screening with some more people, right?
Yeah, I've been to a few screenings, and I think actually just a couple of weeks ago we had our best week. Actually, I mean, it's been a slow. So the good thing about opening in the summer, when people don't know the theater is open, I'm sure the attendance was very low. It's like around 20, but we didn't have that much competition either. So, and we're playing for a long time. I think longer than we might have otherwise. So we're slowly. I mean, we're having a pretty steady rate of attendance. We're not really losing that much, which means that I guess word of mouth has been good too. That people like the film. Yeah,
Yeah, that's and well, our next, because we just had in Sweden, the kids have a small, like a week off in the fall, and that was right. I don't know what holiday. Do you have that in Germany? Höstlov. It's well, right. And of course that's a big movie happening. Oh, maybe that's right. That's your festival is planned around that, or no?
No, our festival is it's always the same time in the beginning of November. So
okay, yeah, but it's close to that period anyway. Well, but so now we're getting more and more competition in the cinemas. But BERT'S is doing fairly well. So yeah, the other movies are like coming and going now, and BERT'S is slowly, accumulating at the box office. So it's
the tortoise, the slow tortoise that wins the race.
Yeah,
But speaking of reactions, it's been interesting is that, I mean, we shouldn't get too specific about scenes maybe, but how certain like jokes that we thought were good jokes, but maybe not like the pinnacle of the movie, have been getting the biggest laughs. I mean, there's certain, and it works every audience. And also the times when, well, I'm not going to spoil, but when Bert is about to do something he shouldn't do, like we get a lot of big, I mean, this is, kids really react like, no, don't go in there. What are you doing? And, you know, holding, holding their faces.
It's what we did. The thing is, we also did have before the COVID, before the pandemic broke in Europe, like in the late fall and in early spring, we had a few test screenings with a full audience. So we had like 150, 200 kids or something, or at least over 100. And that was great, because then you got a sense of how well some of these things work. Like you're saying, Tapio, is like, then you really get that crowd, because, I mean, that's, well, there's a lot more sad things about the pandemic, but I really, that was great to have had that experience with the film, because you feel that it really works in a collective, that is like the group psychology of it was great to experience. It was really fun.
So that critical mass you need we talked about. You need,
both
like,
with laughter and like when people feel ashamed, and you see a lot of kids like almost crawling down under their seats in shame, and like, oh, because it's also a lot of cringe. I mean, like let's call it cringe comedy, or like awkwardness. Like you feel awkward in these humiliating situations, and I found it interesting that when we had these group sessions afterwards, you remember, Tapio, when like kids, they couldn't quite identify that as comedy. It's like it was funny, but it was also just awkward, and they haven't yet made that connection that that's a form of comedy. Like that was just another sensation, another feeling. It's not related to comedy for them.
No, because at that, I think at that age also, there's so much awkwardness in your life. Exactly. There's so many times, and you don't really laugh about it then. But
I think that's I mean, I think that's a little bit beautiful that the film kind of tickles that spot and bridges or introduces a new kind of humor, a little bit, like for them, like, and they couldn't quite decide, like, was it funny or was it just awkward? I don't know, but I liked it.
Yeah, I think it's also you know, it's also working very well for adults, so I think they will also have a lot to laugh about in the film. And yeah, actually, I would say it's a film between children's film and teenage film, and maybe this is also what you were talking about, the humor there. We're not really not sure, is it funny or is it just awkward? So
exactly. Yeah, I mean, that was our goal, to make a film that was like a good film regardless of age, that you could identify with and relate to as an adult and as a parent. And we got a lot of feedback like that. A lot of parents love it. And
thank you so much for the film, and thank you for telling so much about about your ideas and goals for the film. And we really keep our fingers crossed that as soon as possible we have the chance to celebrate films again in the cinema. Then it's much better to watch them together, and especially films like that, they're doubled fun in a cinema. Nevertheless, we are very honored that we have the German premiere here in Lübeck, and we hope we can help the film to get out in the world and maybe also find distributor here in Germany. So we hope.
Thank you so much. We're honored to be a part of the festival. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.